Welcome to Master Muse, Dan Cash. I am so excited to have you here today. How are you feeling this morning?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
I'm so thrilled, and I have been talking to you, to my friends for a long time. I was like, man, it'd be so cool to get Dan. I would love. I mean, from fangirl to fanboy, can we just talk about it? And they were like,
Yeah.
man, that would be cool. I'm like, I know, but he's like, he's like a legit. You've gone full time. Are you calling yourself an influencer or
Oh no.
content creator, or how do you want to identify yourself?
um, yeah, I wouldn't say influencer because I just don't think I'm very influential. And I don't try to be influential either. So I always think influencers kind of do a lot of vlogging, do a lot of this is what I think about absolutely everything.
Right.
And do you know what I mean? And whereas I have quite specific things I talk about,
Yeah,
and
you're the pop culture king.
pop culture is what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I'm like,
And you're
that's more
funny.
content. I try.
I
Don't know if I
mean,
am.
listen, there's a very few people when I first started out in this world of posting on TikTok, which can I just say that when I originally started, I don't know how you felt about it, but when I first started, I was like, I cannot believe that I'm going to fucking do this. I cannot believe I am going to stare at my phone and be like, hi guys. Funny thing about Harry Styles that I was thinking about, I was like, I refused to do it to begin with. I was like, I'm not going to do that. That's maybe why I'm here, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. And it's all I talked about. Did you find it to begin with and then got on board, or were you just like, this is this fun thing and I feel good about it?
I think there was a kind of blend of different things going through my head. One of it was it kind of began in 2020. So I was very, very much an active user of TikTok during the pandemic, but I also had a very young child at home. I was working full time. My wife was working full time. We had approximately half an hour a day
Right.
where we weren't either doing childcare or work.
Right.
And it was like, I look back with rose tinted glasses, but at the time I think that's where a lot of my grey hair came from.
Right. You were drowning
Um,
a little,
yeah. And then
as
one
we
day I
all
was
were,
like,
honestly.
yeah, exactly. It was just, you know what it was like. But TikTok seemed to be this kind of, in a weird way, it was a light for a lot of people because it was just
Yeah.
that people doing the blinding lights dance. That's all I needed to see to reset my brain
Yeah.
for a minute. And I thought, do you know what? I work in marketing. This can't be that hard to just like start. Do you know what I mean? I
Right.
imagine, well, now I know, but just to get started can't be that hard. You've just got to get over yourself. So I got over
Right.
myself,
Right.
is
I mean,
what.
that was my first thing. I remember one of my first videos. I was born in Jacksonville, Florida. I live in Georgia, so that is the South. Everybody anticipates that I have this real Southern accent, but I don't really. And I can pull it out if I need to. I can throw it out, bless your heart, in a moment's time, but I don't really. But when I first started doing TikToks, I was like, "Hey y'all," and then I was like, What am I doing? Why am I putting on like a voice?" I mean, that's not super uncommon for me to do voices in that like I was trying to be myself, and it was so bizarre. When you first started, what was your idea? Were you thinking for sure you had like an idea? I'm going to do pop culture, and that's what I'm going to talk about.
No. So initially I thought I'd learned some things from viewing, right? And those things were be consistent in terms of how often you post and what you post about, how the videos look and the quality. And I was like, that's all you need to do to start. So I started off doing Harry Potter skits, sketches, impressions, just little bits, right?
They're my
And
fucking
then,
favorite thing you do.
well, I don't do it anymore because of obvious reasons, but
Well,
it was fun while it lasted. And
but you did
I
it also with Harry Styles, or like, or the Louis songs from One Direction or whatever. I mean, the skit thing is definitely something that you play around with when you're trying to talk about something that's happening, whether it's a
yeah,
Taylor Swift album, whatever. And it's one of my favorite forms of content that you do.
yeah, I enjoy doing the skits because sometimes I sit there in front of the camera and it sounds like I'm preaching. So if I'm like, oh, everyone's going mental about this one thing and it's not that deep, what? And I'm like,
Right.
actually, that's just me preaching and being a little bit It feels condescending in a way, and this still feels condescending when I do it in a skit, but it
But
feels
it's
condescending in
funny,
more of a humorous way.
right? It's satire, right?
Yeah, so I can say what I want because I'm
Right.
saying it to myself across the bed, you know. So the skits kind of, yeah, and people get mad at the skits sometimes, and I'm like, don't talk to me, talk to the other guy.
I feel like it's an easy little scapegoat for you. And it's genius. When I first started watching, I started finding other creators that were talking about Harry, Louis, Liam, Zayn, Niall, One Direction, whatever. I was like, who's funny? There's certainly people on there that are very informative. We have the informative ones. Guess what's happened today? Today in Harry Styles news, he was walking down the street and he looked very angry. His brow was furrowed and he didn't like getting his picture taken. I'm sure of it. And if you guys would just leave him alone, he's a person. I'm like, okay, right. Okay, cool. And then there's the other people who's like, so I was listening to this song and there's definitely a lot going on behind the scenes. I definitely think it means that he thinks that he's an alien from another planet and we really need to get involved in this planet, and it's called, or whatever, the conspiracy theories. And there's very few people, in my personal opinion, that are funny in the way that they present the information, but you were the one.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's the thing. The thing is with humor is it lessens the impact of some things. And I think that's really important in pop culture because
Right.
sometimes the narrative goes so far one way and people get caught in this tidal wave of emotion and feelings. And sometimes it's the humor that I feel that just brings people back a bit and they go, oh, actually, yeah, we are actually allowed to laugh about this thing that isn't that serious because it is at the end of the day. And I say this, it's just music, it's just film, it's just TV. And I
Right.
don't mean that to diminish the impact of those things,
Right.
but I mean what it isn't is politics, and what it isn't is
Life and
religion
death.
and these big things, you know. So I think, yeah, laughing about these things just takes that heat off of a lot of it. And I find it a good way of just dealing with and processing stuff that I enjoy, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's go back a little bit. This is a little different than my regular content. This is not a musician that is trying to make it in the music world, which is normally who I'm talking to. Dan is a creator, a now author, who's we'll get to that in a minute. But he can strum the guitar a bit. He can sing a little. He is definitely into pop culture. But I want to know, when you were a young boy, were you listening to a lot of music? Were you obsessed with being in a fandom? I wasn't allowed to be. That's why I'm so old and doing it. I've just gone back to childhood basically and trying to relive my 17 to 22. But what were you like when you were young as far as music goes? What were you listening to? What did you like? And what kind of fan were you?
Yeah, so when I was really young, I was very much pop. It was top of the pops, CDs, cassettes when I was, because I had an older sister, you know. So you want me.
Not because you're old enough
But I mean,
don't get it
we used
twisted,
to,
people. That's just me. That's just me.
yeah, but we used to take it in turns on a Sunday, and the chart show would be on the radio, and we'd take it in turns. So it'd be like the radio would be on, the chart show would be on as we're having our bath on a Sunday evening, and we'd literally like sprint like a relay race to be like, right, the song is playing, we are recording it on a cassette. You now need to get out of the bath, get dried and get dressed in the 3 minutes so that I can get in the bath. And that's what it was. And pausing it before the adverts came on and before the DJ spoke. Um, I call it the tail end of that because I was born in 91, but my
Yeah.
sister was older. So I feel like by the time I was like 5 or 6, I was properly in it because I was her like recording minion, you know?
I love that.
Um,
That's what I use my younger siblings for. It's like, listen here, you're not allowed to sit in my seat, and like, I need something to drink. Until they got to a certain age where they're like, can't you get your own drink? And I'm like, I could, but you're so good at getting it. And they're like, I don't want to do it anymore.
No, it's exactly
Um,
that. So it's very much pop music, and then like it was again influenced by my older sister. So it was Spice Girls, and they would dress me up as a Spice Girl, and it was a lot of who was it, like Eternal, TLC, I don't know, the Brit All Saints. They're very British,
yeah.
and then I was very into S Club 7 when I was. I don't know if you know S Club 7.
I don't know S Club
They were
7.
a mixed gender pop group from the 90s noughties, and they were just phenomenal. And then at one point they had a TV show where they found the S Club Juniors, and two of the S Club Juniors turned into the Saturdays, which is another British
Oh, yes,
girl
I know
band.
Saturdays.
Yeah, so it's like this big thing, but it was just cheesy pop. And then I hit teenage years, and then it was just emo, rock,
Well,
metal.
it's so hard.
It just
Isn't it hard
transitioned
getting young as a
overnight.
teenager?
Mm.
Okay, so what emo pop emo stuff were you listening to? I mean, who did you have on repeat?
My big ones were the obvious. I mean, My Chemical Romance um, were the biggest ones for me. I also loved Fall Out Boy and Panic. Avenged Sevenfold. I was a huge fan of Avenged Sevenfold.
I don't know who that
Um,
is.
and they were like the main ones, I would say. And then I also, at the same time of that, my mum remarried, and he was a big fan of Guns N' Roses and AC/DC and like those kind of rock bands. So I kind of had the old school kind of 80s rock with the modern noughties emo, and then a bit of like Metallica. So it was kind of, that was all I listened to for all my entire teenage life until I got to university, pretty much.
Okay, so we weren't listening to no secret like sad ballads. Like my son came to me like recently, he had a bad breakup, and there's some Adele song, and he was like, and it came on the radio. I was like, every time I hear this, it wrecks me. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I can't listen to this song. I cried to it for like 2 months after we broke up. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like I've
I
never.
love that.
He listens to this band called Ninja Sex Party, NSP, and it's like comedy pop. It's very strange. I should say it's strange. It's very interesting and fun. But it's like mixing comedy and music, and he loves it. And he's like gone to their shows or whatever. But I'm like, I don't really think you're a music lover because you only have like two bands in the world that you really like, and this Adele song that has wrecked you post breakup.
I love that
Um,
though. I think that's the thing. Like, yeah, I've always been a big music fan, but I have definitely had like, I fixate. I don't like using the word hyperfixate because I know that's like attached to kind of neurodivergence, and I haven't got any diagnosis or even tried to get a diagnosis for anything. But
Same.
I do have these massive hyperfixations, and like My Chemical Romance and Fall Out Boy for a long time. I just had them. That was it. That was all
Did
I
you see
needed.
them in concert?
No, I never did actually. I saw Fall Out Boy at a festival once. Um,
And you're
but
like,
again,
you know
like,
every word.
yeah, because the thing is with live music as well, it's the accessibility of it. So grew up in a very working class background, um, didn't have a lot of kind of disposable income um, when I was growing up. So concerts and stuff
Same.
for me was just like not, it wasn't an option. It was
I
never a
went to
thing.
two. I went to see, well, the most that I saw, because I grew up in like church, was, some Steve Green, who was at, United First Baptist, which was, a city over. And, we could go. And then while you were driving home, the Christian radio station was then playing Steve Green, because that was the biggest news that was happening in Atlanta, was that Steve Green was at First United Methodist or whatever. And then I think the only time that I went to like a real, like a non-Christian concert, I did go see Sandy Patty, and she was like, I wanted to be her. She's a contemporary Christian artist from like the 80s. I wanted to be her. And she's a very operatic voice. I don't know what I thought I was going to do with that, but I was pretty pumped about it, and practiced incessantly, from about, 8 until 12, until I was like, I don't know. I want to have kids. I don't think it's going to be really great with me touring. Just, anyway. So
That's how you think.
I also wrote instrumental piano music at 11. So I was kind of a weird kid. Um,
I love that.
but so I never got to do that. And so the first time that I started going to concerts, really, I mean, I've been to several over the years, but my exes, I just kind of did whatever they wanted me to do. If you want me to go camping, I went camping. If they wanted me to go to, fancy fucking restaurants and ballets. I was like, okay, I guess that's what we do. So when I finally got my own choice as a single person, I was like, I think I have to see this person, this Harry Styles character, like whatever he's doing on stage in these ridiculous suits with embellishments and wide bottoms and jackets. And I was just like, I have to be a part of this. And so then the first time that I went to a Harry Styles concert, I was like, oh my God, this is like church. This is exactly what I grew up on, except we're worshiping Harry Styles, which I'm
Yes.
completely and totally down for. And now I worship Louis Tomlinson, and I worship all the boys. And I don't know if I'll ever. I don't know. I envy you when you're saying that you have hyperfixated or fixated on people before at a level that it's all you can think about, or all that you're listening to, or it's your favorite thing. Because I can't imagine doing this again. Like
Yeah.
it frightens me a little because I went crazy.
You do though. And I think that's the thing with it's the thing with fandom. It's the thing with when you kind of obsess over something. And not I say obsess like positively. I think obsess is a
Yeah,
good
I mean,
word.
yeah, we know this is like we're coping with a pop star, or we're having a parasocial relationship, or whatever it is. I don't think it's negative. I think it's a great thing. It's not drugs and alcohol. I'm in, because
Yeah.
those are alternatives to it. Like losing your mind in alcohol or drugs or some kind of self harm. I mean, this harms my bank account, but
That it does that,
I'll get
yeah.
past it.
No, it's fascinating. And that's the thing with all things fan related is like it it feels like a healthy, I think for the most part, it's a very
Yeah,
healthy obsession or addiction or special interest, whatever you want to call it.
right.
There are times I think everyone's experienced, even if they haven't gone into it, they've been on the cusp of it. I've had to pull myself back a few times from various things. Um, but yeah, and some people cross that line, which is completely valid and whatever. But that's when it can kind of get, turn
When
to
you're
the bad
shouting
side,
at
if you
people
like.
on the internet to believe the thing that you believe to be true, like those are things. Like there's a couple of things in the One Direction that I'm like, y'all, come on now, come on, over here, come
But you
on,
should have been there back in the day, because if you think it was, if you think
really,
it's, well, the thing is, what one thing interests me about fandom is how kind of people rewrite history, because obviously not everything gets written down, because
right?
it's not
And there was
politics.
not
People don't write
this. There was not
books.
TikTok and podcast for
No,
us.
and
So
Tumblr kind of, a lot of it was on Tumblr, and Tumblr's kind of not there anymore. A lot of people have deleted their accounts. Obviously, it got bought by Yahoo, wasn't it? And then all the Tumblr was very well known for like NSFW stuff, and obviously that all got taken away, and with it, got a lot of accounts taken away, a lot of content. So a lot of the fandom history existed on Tumblr, not there anymore. So like it literally has been like, if you want to look at it in the serious, this is historical stuff. It's been
right,
erased in a way. So, but I think back in the, yeah, with any fandom, and this is the thing. So like with One Direction, I watched them on the X Factor, and I wouldn't say I was like an immediate fan after watching them on the X Factor, but I was on social media a lot, and the video diaries and stuff really drew me into specifically Louis Tomlinson.
come
He was the
on, that's the
same
part that
age.
I couldn't I felt like he was so unserious, and I was like mad at him when I first started watching the video. I was like, dude, get it together. This is serious. And all the rest of them were just like, kind of dopey and cute, but Louis just like making a mess of everything. And I was like, I don't know about this Louis one. I don't know about him at all. When I first started watching, I was like full on like momming him. I was like, was your mother tell you to behave this way? Quit being just. And it wasn't until I saw him do um the day with, was it Richard, the old man, that he did like his bucket list.
I can't remember
Okay, well, he did like
because
a
I've got a
bucket
bad
list for
fan.
this guy. I think his name is Richard. I think Richard tattooed him. But he went through this bucket list, and I watched it, and I was like, oh, oh you're precious. But that's because he has a soft little underbelly. And now I adore everything about him and thank him for being disruptive. But okay, so you watched the video diaries, you fell in love with Louis Tomlinson. What did you like about Louis Tomlinson at that point?
So
I say
Louis,
with judgment.
no, so I'm the same age as Louis. There's like 6 months between us. Um, I have like three sisters. I was raised in a house with just my mum. My nan and my granddad lived there, but my granddad was very poorly, and my older sister. And then my mum is one of seven, and only one of them is a boy. So I was
You were
literally,
surrounded by the girls.
yeah, I was raised by women, like 100%. There's no doubt about it. There was no positive male influence in my life that was there enough to guide me into anything. So when I saw Louis, I was like, everything, like mannerisms, like the way he talked, and then obviously when you learn about like where they've come from, and it's his mum and his
Right.
sisters, and I was like, oh my god, like he literally, I can see so much of myself in him. And I'd never had that before with like a big pop anything, because obviously there was just no one, and so I saw a lot of myself in him. So when he was like playing around and being stupid, I was like, that feels like a bravado, and I have spent my life putting on this front, because like I experienced a lot of grief in my early teens as well, and I know he obviously had, he's experienced a lot of grief, and there was just so much, and I was like, oh my god, I literally was like, that is me. I saw so much of myself in him. Obviously there's a lot of differences too, but he drew me in basically to the One Direction thing. And then that was 2010 on the X Factor. And then in 2011, I was at university and I went on my year abroad. And I lived in the south of France, and it was really remote. I barely got any internet. I was alone for more than I was with other people. And I sunk into this really horrible place where I had like not a lot there, not a lot of conversation and whatever. And I did, whenever I got internet, One Direction was kind of the thing that I just started to like get into, because it felt like, I don't know, I just had this little connection, this parasocial connection with these five guys that were similar age to me that I didn't know. And I was just like so drawn in by it, and their
They were British and
music.
still talking about home in every other song.
Yeah, that. And then like their music drew me in, and I had a guitar. I bought a guitar while I was in France because I had nothing else to do, and I started playing their songs on guitar. And I don't know, they just drew me in, like hook, line, and sinker. And then that was it. I was a fan, I suppose.
Okay, that's a completely different experience than my mommy experience with Louis Tomlinson. A lot of times I feel like their mother, and I'm like, sit down, take that jacket off, get off the bike. What are you doing? Go home. Like I want to come here. They're beautiful and lovely. I'm going to say this and they're going to call me a liar. I think they're lovely and beautiful. But I'm 100 years old in comparison to these young men. And the majority of what I can see in One Direction, I'm like, I have children that are closer to their age. Like my oldest is 26. I can't. It's just bizarre, and I'm like, my brain is like split. Like I don't understand how I'm relating to these people, but I love it so much. The music is my favorite thing of all. I feel like that, if we're talking about Louis Tomlinson, the kind of lyricist that he is my favorite kind.
Yeah.
He's so incredibly clever, and I just love it. I wish he would let me pick his singles. I don't know if we're gonna get to that point, but if we ever do, if he ever lets me to be like, not that one. I feel like Written All Over Your Face should have been single.
I don't know though, because I feel like every solo artist that I like chooses songs that I would never have chosen for the single, and there must be something in it that I don't understand from a kind of music industry standpoint. I think Lemonade, by the way, is a great lead
No,
single for an
I do
album.
like that. I do like that. I'm
Yeah.
dying to know what else is in the mix, so therefore I have to reserve. Like I watched two musicians do their take on his song, and I was like, "No, that is good." I was just like, I was so. Don't you say it? It's so good. You should have heard it live. Um, I think it's fantastic. I think it sounds cool and interesting. I think the music video, I don't know if we're gonna take that it's talking about the music industry and drinking the Kool-Aid, but him being chased by a lemon, I just like it felt like 19-year-old Louis to me.
I don't see. I don't think that's what the song means to me. That's what I don't think.
What does the song mean to you?
I
I know
think the
I know it's
song,
just our our opinions because we have no idea. We didn't write it, but
yeah, like lyrics are up for interpretation, which is part of my favorite thing about lyrics. Um, I think, and I'm not the only one that I've seen talk about it or think it. I think Lemonade is trying to write a song or an album or a piece of music, and he's trying to make lemonade out of lemons. He's got all the ingredients and he's trying to like craft this thing, whatever that may be. And it's bitter, it's sweet, it's bittersweet. It's like trying to find. I don't know. I think
try to find the
that's
balance
how I
between
see
them.
it. So I think it's trying to write. It's like that creative process of literally hitting your head against a wall because you're like, there's an idea. Is it right? Am I got it yet? I should change this. Like it's trying to make the perfect cup of lemonade, and you've got all the lemons there, but you've got all the ingredients, but it's trying to put it into this one perfect, tall, refreshing glass, and that is the song or
And
an
who was
album
presenting it to him
or a
as
book.
already done.
What's that?
Like when you get to the lemonade stand and the sock puppet like is like presenting like this like it's already done. Here's the lemonade, here it is. And he's like sitting there surrounded by lemons, like looking at a finished product or imagining a finished product.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe it's I don't know. It could be anything. It could be someone offering him, "Here's a song. You could have this one," or "And now I want to make my own."
Yeah. That's a good
You know,
take. I like that.
I don't
I
know. That's how I kind of think of it anyway.
I love that everybody can have their own interpretation. What brought me to Harry Styles was Falling, and I have a couple of friends that I've made through the fandom that it's their same song, but not for the same reason. Um, mine was post a breakup, and somebody else's was post a surgery that didn't go well, and just the feeling of just being hopeless, and then you get drawn in. I just don't understand. Like, I mean, they talked about it in the This Is Us movie when the guy
Yeah.
comes out and it's like, well, girls' brains. It's not that they're crazy; they're just excited. And I was like, "That's right. Like, I'm not crazy that I'm in my fucking 40s." I mean, my family thought I really had gone insane. Like they were
But
just like,
this is another tangent to go down is like the outward perception of people that are massive fans of something, especially when it's something like One Direction and the fan are predominantly girls, teenage girls, young girls.
right,
It gets so shat on and pissed all over by the general public and men because obviously when One Direction were coming up as well, a lot of music journalists, reviewers, all of that, well, they were men. So they didn't get it, and if they didn't get something, then they don't give it any kind of credit. It blows
right.
my mind that One Direction won no Grammys. It literally, I know people laugh at me. I'm like, you don't understand. By the time they released four, there should have been some Grammy noms thrown up there. It's crazy that there weren't.
I agree. If you look at
Harry
the
Styles' first album, like, it's crazy to me that he came out of that band with Sign of the Times, and then like followed it up with his first album, and because he was in One Direction, the Grammys were like, "Who? No." And like, if he'd have released that album now, it like would have. Do you know what I mean? It's such a crazy thing what happened with all of it. And I know Zayn had the same feeling because Zayn obviously publicly said, what the fuck? What have you actually got to do to get through to the Grammys? Like I'm producing great music, and he was,
yeah,
and you think you're one of the most successful male musicians, pop stars of a generation, and they're all getting overlooked by the Recording Academy. It's crazy
because they were a boy band.
because they're a boy band and because they appealed to young girls. The assumption is they don't write their own songs, which we know was not true. It's
Right.
what set them apart. They didn't play instruments. Who cares?
They didn't dance, thank God.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just so grateful. I love the chaotic energy, and I feel like right now, with the stuff after the building the band, we've got Midnight Till Morning, and the band light that just played at the Louis Festival. when they came out, I was like, oh, you look like another. And I got to do a little interview with them, and they were so precious and so cute. And I was having this moment. I had to be brave. One is to run up to this band, see like me running up to these young men, and I don't want to frighten them. I feel like fear is probably their first thought. Like, what did I do wrong? What, mom? I'm like, sit down and do an interview. But they were so precious. They said, yes, ma'am, like 82 times, which fair. And they're from that. It was so cute. Yes, I like in unison. Yes, ma'am. Oh, babies, that's so good. I used to get offended, and now I'm like, that's right. But I had
That's a
this.
very American thing, by the way.
Nobody says that there.
Yeah,
And
like it's really funny. I didn't realize this, but somebody was like, "What do you say in Britain?" Because we always say "ma'am" or "sir." So if you go to a shop, it's "Thanks, ma'am," "Thank you, sir." What do you say in Britain? And we just say "mate"
for everyone.
for everyone. Hi, mate. Right, cheers, mate. Thanks, mate. See you later, mate. You all right, mate? How's it going, mate?
I will
Anyone.
say that when I went over there, I think I had like a moment and I cried because the way, at least for my experience and where I was, the way that women and old people, I wasn't included in the old people at this juncture, but I was
You're still not.
but the way that women and old people were treated was so vastly different than the way they're treated in the US that I cried like one day because there was this little old man, and I mean the frailest of frail. Like he was shuffling, trying to get on the tube. And he looked kind of lost. And I was like, oh, how do we carry him? Like whatever. And then here comes one of the people, and he was like, "Sir, can I help you onto the? Do you need some help?" And he was like, "Yes." And they kind of take him and shuffle him onto the thing, and they get him sit down. And I looked at my friend, I was like, we would have kicked him and knocked him down. I just like blew a cried. And then I came to Wembley, and I'd come the day before, when I was seeing Harry, and I'd gone up all the flights of stairs, and it just hurt I had a foot injury, and it hurt my ankle. I was like, I can't do it again, girls. We got to find an elevator or something. We got to find something. So I was walking, and I'm looking, and then they had all the little like wheelchairs, I guess. And they stopped, and I was like, oh, I'm looking for an elevator, or what do you call it? Lift. Yes, a lift or something.
Mhm.
And they were like, do you need help? Do you need us to put you in this chair? I was like, no, I don't need you to put me in a chair. I just they were so worried about me, and they were like, ma'am, it's free. It's like, we'll take you. It's like, I'm not an invalid. I don't want to walk up 5 flights of concrete stairs. I just want to take the elevator. And they were like, no, but we'll take you right to your seat. I was like, stop. And then
I'd have said yes if it was me. Like,
I
absolutely.
mean, and in retrospect, I mean, it's like in hindsight, rather, I just should have. But I was so like in the States, like people they just look at you weird. They look at you one like you're lazy, even if you are disabled. It's like, well, you got that way because you're a lazy whatever. Anyway, that was
Mad.
quite the tangent.
Madness.
But I loved England. Loved. And I ran into everybody. And then of course I did my terrible British accent to everyone, which in Manchester went over really, really well. Not as well in London in the posher parts. Posh, when you guys say posh, I always thought posh meant like rich. No, like you mean it like
No.
we say snob.
Kind of. I mean, posh is more like, I don't know how to describe posh, but it's more like that kind of accents. I suppose it is rich in a way, but it's not necessarily wealth. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just
like snobbery, like having, it's a, oh, that's so lovely, Heather. Oh, is that nice for you? Yeah, I bet. It's like it's just like you think you're above other people, and
yeah, there is definitely that.
it could go in tandem with the rich because, well, but not all rich people are like that. Although I think a fair amount of them are. But yeah, I didn't know that, and I was like, well, what's wrong? Like, what does it matter if you have money? And it's like, well, I don't know. And because every time it's said, it's like, oh, they're a bit posh. with this face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, was that bad? Apparently it is, and I agree.
It's
They
quite
weren't
bad,
bad.
yeah.
They're on the truth.
People say I sound posh. I've got a posh accent.
I would say that you have a softer British accent that isn't maybe that could be more associated with that.
Yeah.
What part of England are you from, though?
Wiltshire, so quite a nice area, really. Down south, almost southwest, I suppose.
Okay.
Where the cathedral, we have Salisbury Cathedral and Stonehenge.
Oh. Did you
That's where I
like
am.
where you grew up?
Yeah, it was okay. It was okay. It was safe and comfortable and secure. I grew up on like a council estate, so like, you know, again, working class, so didn't have a lot. And then I went to Exeter University, which is very posh. That's where people that don't get into like Oxford and Cambridge go to Exeter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Were you a
very
good student?
like, sorry.
Were you a good student?
Oh, I was crap. I didn't like my degree. I got drunk all the time. I was drunk for 4 years. And that's what I did. That's why like people, but now I'm watching TV shows that I haven't ever seen, and everyone's like, how did you not ever see Modern Family? I'm like, I was drunk. I didn't watch TV. It was lucky that I watched The X Factor, and that was only because it was on a Saturday night while I was getting ready to go and get drunk. Do you know what I mean? So
We all have to have those times.
exactly. So, but yeah, when I went to Exeter, everyone took the mick out of my accent, so I changed it.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think about like Taylor Swift did that, right? In the very beginning, she came out and she was like, "Hey y'all, my name is Taylor Swift," and and now she's like, "Hi, I'm Taylor Swift." And it's
Yeah.
like that transition. I mean, even Harry, it's like I can hardly hear it sometimes when he talks. I'm like, "Are you British at all? What have you
Well, because
done?"
you kind of assimilate, don't you? So I suppose
I
he
know,
spent a
I
lot of
do it
time.
too.
Yeah.
I spent 6 months around you 100%. I would sound exactly like you, and people would be like, "That is so obnoxious. Why does she do it?" I'm like, "It's not even on purpose." It's not I'm like I think one of the things that I relate to with Harry is that I'm kind of a parrot, a mockingbird, whatever. When he does a pamplemousse, and I go, "Oh, yes, 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 yes." Why? But why? Who threw a chicken nugget? Like I can't help but like I'll do it while I'm watching British Bake Off because of Alison Hammond
Oh
because
yeah.
she's bake. With her whole face,
I
and
love her.
I love it. It's such a and it's easy for I can do it. I heard Margot Robbie talk about how I don't know, was it Margot Robbie? Anyway, somebody was talking about doing accents and how doing an Australian accent is like it's in a different part of your mouth and you have to work different muscles with your tongue in order to make your mouth. Oh no, like, and I can't make. That's the only thing that I can do, and that's probably horrible. But it's the only thing I can do. But the British accent, I can listen to any single one of them, and if I listen to it long enough, I could mock it. Not super great, but better than most. So I was such a wretched Manchester. So
Yeah, I can't do American accents. It's really frustrating because obviously in my content I talk about a lot of Americans, and I wish I could do skits and do the American. Can't do it. Not a single one.
have you tried?
Oh, so much, so many times.
Do you think that it's I don't know. Can you identify? I mean, can you do a word?
Like the only thing I say in American accent is "Oh my god," and that's like what California is that like California kind of
Well, okay.
Valley
It's a
girl?
I mean, they see it. They say Valley Girl, and I think that especially for people that aren't American, they think there's like 4 accents, and it's a Southern accent, and there's like the New York accent,
New York.
maybe Boston, and then California, and that's it. Those are the only accents that we have. But like Midwestern is really specific. Um, and there's different Midwesterns and even Southern. Like my grandfather remarried a woman. Her name was Doris, and she said, um, Roy, come to the door. Heather's here. Oh, Roy, come look at her. And she's just adorable. Roy, get us some ice cream. So, like, I didn't grow up around anybody that talked like that, except for this one woman that was my, I guess, step grandmother with her. And then my grandmother, like, she grew up, she was a part of sharecropping in the South in Alapaha, Georgia. And she talks just like I do, which I think is why I talk the way that I do. Did you think that you were funny before you started doing this?
No, I still don't think I'm funny.
Come
It's
on,
really
man.
no, I don't. It's a really weird thing, and I don't know if it's imposter syndrome or what. But I have this like I have so many mental blocks that I think are like preventing me from being like even better than what I do. Because like sometimes I post a video, right, and my rule used to be if I make a video and I don't laugh, I don't make myself laugh watching it
Right,
back, I won't post it, which is
right.
very easy to do
Same.
when you're doing like Severus Snape singing a sea shanty, right? It's very easy to make yourself laugh doing that. And then I did the One Direction. So that was my breakout, was like Snape. Then my next breakthrough was One Direction, where I made a video and I was like, I've just listened to One Direction songs again, and I can't believe how dirty some of the lyrics are. And it
Right.
was kind of a half truth because, like, there were some songs obviously are filthy. The one that really caught me off guard when I listened to it after a few years away was Happily. And the lyric, and I made it kind of my brand for a while. And the lyric is, and if he feels my traces in your hair, I'm sorry, love, but I don't really care. And people were like, you should make merch with traces on it. And I was like, because it just made me laugh how like I know it probably wasn't intentional because traces is like your essence and like your smell and all that. But I was like, oh my god, that's
Is it?
absolutely a wild lyric. And that was it then. And then that broke me into the One Direction kind of um, fan space, if you like. And I was always in it. And people were quite surprised because they thought I was like a brand new fan who just discovered One Direction. And I kind of played on that for a while. And then I was like, guys, I've been here since 2010. Like I never had a Tumblr.
Louis' my
Like,
favorite.
yeah. I was like, I never posted on Tumblr. I never had like a Twitter Stan account. That was a lie, but that's what I said. And I was like, I never had all this stuff, but I was very much like a passive observer of One Direction fandom. And then they realized that actually every in joke, everything, every reference, I knew it all. And I was like, I was just playing you a little bit. And that's it. And that was, yeah. I can't remember
That
how
was
we got
the
into this.
beginning of what I saw, and I was like, okay, for what I'm doing. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I had a real intention because what I had decided was I wanted to do a podcast where I wanted to talk to musicians. Like that was the end goal. Then one day, somewhere in the future, I would be able to sit down with Harry Styles and sit down with Louis Tomlinson and not be like, oh my God, you're so pretty. But be like, ask intelligent questions, ask things that I feel like people in the fandom would want to know. That was my goal. Okay. So my cousin was like, "Well, if you're going to do that, you'll have to create an audience." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, you'll have to get on social media and start creating your audience because who are you going to introduce this podcast to?" And I was like, "I hate social media." And she was like, "Well, you're about to get to love it." And I was like, "No, I'm not." And so the resistance that I had to getting on it and not knowing like what am I even going to say? And then I go down this whole thing and now I'm a Harry Louis directioner. And then I watched you because when I first started seeing you, all your content that I saw was One Direction content. And I was like, how is he going to change this? Because at some point you got to,
You
you
run
know,
out of ideas. You run out of content. Yeah.
right. And so I was like, how is he going to do it? And I was really struggling with and I have watched you just, I don't know, you blow me away with the ideas that you come up with when you're your little the little bobblehead that you are right now all over the content when you're moving. And I was like, this guy's a fucking genius. Why did I not think of that? Um, so it makes me feel better to know that you have a marketing background.
But
What?
no, I think the thing is with the social media side of it is that um, they say have a niche, right? This is the thing that, especially back then, like a couple of
Right.
years ago, have a niche, have a niche. Um, But then it's like, well, you define that and you define the boundaries of it. So my niche was Harry Potter, and then it was One Direction, but I still did the Harry Potter stuff. And then it was, I don't know what came next. There was a few things, but there was like Grey's Anatomy at one point I was
Yeah.
doing. Obviously, Taylor Swift became a massive thing.
Yep.
Heartstopper,
Yep.
queer literature and media in general kind of became a bit of a thing. Me having a wife and everyone being surprised, that became, and it's like all of that fits within one niche, which is pop culture. And then the thing that brings people back specifically to your content is yourself. So me. So then it's like, the real skill is trying to think of what parts of your content are people enjoying for you, and what parts of your content are people enjoying for the subject matter. And that's where I think people can really fall apart. That's where ego, I think, comes into play for a lot of people. And you see it happen where people have these big egos, and then they'll do content about, say, travel or food or anything, and then suddenly they're talking about, oh, I got this morning, had a coffee, and now I'm just really tired, and excuse the state of my hair. And I'm like, you're not going to draw people in, because no matter who you are and how invested people are into you, you still have to work a way to be interesting or educational or insightful. And I think that's the balance where people can miss. Because if I sat down and talked about my cat for 20 minutes, nobody's watching that. And that's not because my cat isn't interesting or people don't love cats or whatever. It's just because people have invested their time into me talking
Right.
about certain things. So they're happy for me to that. If I suddenly go, oh, I'm watching Modern Family for the first time, they're like, okay, we'll get Dan's insights into Modern Family. If I
Right.
sit there and go, I've hated hot chocolate for my whole life and I've just had a hot chocolate that's really nice, they're going to say, like, who cares, Dan? We don't want to hear you talking about that. Do you know what I mean? That's the
Right. Did you have periods of times when you like you said, you started with the Harry Potter stuff, then you moved to the One Direction stuff. Did you feel like there was a lag where they're not pushing your videos because they've decided that you're Harry Potter content? And if it's not, if you don't even say, like you got, I have to say, sometimes I'll say one whole thing. And if I throw Harry Styles in the tail end of it, I was like, well, I mean, they're not Harry Styles. If I put that in the tail end of my video run. And it
yeah.
pisses me off because I'm like, I don't want to just talk about Harry. I love talking about him if there's something going on, but the man's on a bike right now wearing the same fucking jacket every day. And I don't have anything to say about that other than take the fucking jacket off and walk on your own 2 feet, which I
Yeah,
guess,
there's a challenge in it. My biggest challenge is, and it all coincided, I quit my job at the beginning of this year.
congrats, by
Um,
the way.
Thanks. About a week later, Trump banned TikTok. That was fun.
Right. There's that.
Then there has definitely been some kind of shift. I can't work it out, still can't work it out with the algorithm and whatever. I think something changed a little bit. And a lot of my audience is American. It's about a third American, a third British, and a third everything else.
Oh,
And then Taylor Swift was like, oh, by the way, the Eras tour is over. See you later. And Harry Styles was like, I really like these Lime bikes. I don't want to go in the studio yet. And there was no word from anyone. And the entirety of the music industry went quiet for I was like, it felt like nobody
month.
was doing anything
Right.
across the board. I mean, we had at the Cowboy Carter tour, like the Beyonce was
Right.
doing a bit. There was Lady Gaga, obviously, with Mayhem. Like there were things, but I was like, I'm suddenly having to introduce these people, these brands, these musicians, or whatever, into my content. It's something like firefighting. Whereas when you do it in a more kind of organic way of, I'm just thinking about Harry Styles right now, so let's start talking about him. Then when he does something, it's like, oh, good, people are gonna start seeing more of my videos because it's going to be pushed out more. So my whole year's been like that, basically. So then when Taylor Swift did something and Louis Tomlinson did something, I was like, thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Yeah, I saw
But
your clip ended up being on the LTHQ. It was
that was
so
wild.
so fucking cool.
That was wild because they credited. So they had my video, but they didn't put me in the caption. They put Andrew, who I'm really good friends with, but they didn't put his content up there. So it's a real weird thing. And we were like, did they confuse us? And I think what happened is they probably had loads of content saved and loads of the credits saved. And I think they must have just muddled them up.
Are you talking
Um,
about Andrew the what's it called?
he's called Andrew's Grotto. He does a lot of One Direction. He has curly hair.
Oh, I
He's
think yeah, I know who you're talking about. Okay.
Liverpudlian. And Yeah, so then I messaged LTHQ just as a joke. I was like, they're never going to message back, and was like, hey, by the way, you got the wrong credit, but it's all totally fine. Thank you so much for using my video. And they replied to my message, which is insane. So they replied, and I was like, oh, it's totally fine. I was joking, like, please, whatever. And then they said, love your content. I was like, shut up. So that was my biggest. Because then I was like, and then I said to someone, I was like, oh, yeah, but Louis doesn't know who I am. And they're like, no, Louis would definitely. And I was like, no, no, no. They're like, and I was like, stop telling me this, because then I will never post a video about him again.
Yeah. No, I did. I had a moment one day when I was, like you do this and you think that you are insulated. It's your own corner of the world, no matter what your stats are, no matter what your numbers are, whatever. I mean, like I don't, like I said, I don't have a huge following on TikTok comparatively, but 10,000 people is 10,000 people.
That's a lot
And
of
when you
people.
go to Louis or Harry centric places and somebody walks up to you and goes, are you? And I'm like, what's the rest of the sentence? Um, and so then there's this thing where you're being perceived when you go places. Like I know that you went to the Eras tour, which congratulations, and I'm so fucking jealous. I can't see straight. I wanted to go so bad. I was like, it's not financial. I was like, oh, just throw the money away. Just go. Cause I was gonna fly across the pond. Because it was the only way, like the tickets here were like 5 to 7,000, but I could have gotten something for like 1,200 in
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Germany or something. When you have gone to things like that and you're perceived, oh my God, Dan, I know you from TikTok and you're so funny. And like, how do you handle that? What do you do with it? How do you feel?
Yeah, it's a weird one, because also, like, again, it comes back to this imposter syndrome. I say to Emma, my wife, all the time, I'm like, if I could develop a bit of an ego, I would just be more successful. Like, I want to become a dickhead, so I'm more successful. But the first time was I think the first time properly was I went to the Louis Tomlinson show at Wembley Arena for his first tour, not for, it wasn't Faith in the Future World Tour, it was the tour before that. Um, I went with my sister and we were just walking around, and a few people recognized me. And then I was on Twitter at the time, not anymore. And I had a few comments and messages being like, I can see you, I can see you. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I went to Harry Styles' Love on Tour, and I went with my wife and she was 4, but she was meant to be 5. So for legal purposes, she
For
was
legal
5.
purposes, you
And we took her to Wembley to see Harry Styles. And I got recognized a fair bit. And I think people were a little bit, in hindsight, I think they're more tentative to come over because I had my child. So, and I appreciate that a lot. And there was a moment as I was leaving, and there were 80,000 people swarming out of Wembley Stadium. And it was that moment that my child decided that she had enough, which is totally fair enough. Like, she was knackered and it was late. And at the top of the escalators, she kind of just threw us off to the floor. So and there was 80,000 people coming out of this stadium. So I had to like pick her up, and I was like carrying her down. Then I was like, oh my God, I'm probably being perceived right now. And I hope it didn't look like I'm abusing my child, just helping her. And then at the top of the stairs, I was like trying to calm her down. And a couple of girls were like, oh, I know you from TikTok and whatever. I was like, oh, it's lovely. And I was like, oh, like, okay, great. And then went to Cardiff to see him, and I was on the floor in Cardiff, and there was like a little bit of a queue forming by me that I wasn't aware of until it became this thing. And I was like, oh, and that was the first. So they were the first few times where I thought it, I felt it, I saw it, and then I went to the Eras tour twice, and the first show was crazy. I got like 100 friendship bracelets. It was like constant. The time I went to the second show, so there was a couple of months in between, it was unbelievable. I couldn't walk anywhere like without somebody pulling me over. And I felt famous, which is crazy because I would absolutely adamantly say that I'm nowhere near famous, but I felt famous because I was like, at one point I was like in what's the place where they do all the food, I can't remember what it's called now, Box Park. And
Yeah.
I stood there with some noodles, and I every bite, it was like a bite of food, a conversation, a bite of food, a conversation. And
It's such a weird thing
yeah,
because, like you said, like, I mean, the whole world doesn't know who you are, but in this circle, like I go, well, and would have to tell people, be like, listen, it's not going to happen. And it certainly hasn't happened on that level, but it will happen. And it is weird because you, I have never, I've never gone anywhere with anyone where someone goes, excuse me, I think I
yeah,
know you. But they're like, that wasn't somebody that I knew from work or church or, whatever. Like there's somebody that I didn't know, knew my parents or whatever. And so I said, so it's kind of a strange thing, but like I have to be aware that I'm being perceived. And here's the one thing that happened to me that was like, oh fuck, this could potentially, if I continue, whatever, this could be a thing that, like you're talking about with your daughter, with your child. I don't know if it's your daughter or your son.
yeah.
Um, and so I was at Target. I stopped. I was Ubering, and I wasn't in my normal neighborhood. And I was like, oh, let me just stop at Target because I need to get a couple of things for Christmas. It was right around Christmas time. And I go in and I just grabbed a couple things. And I'm trying to be quick because I'm Ubering. I'm like, let me just grab a couple things, while I'm out. And so I get in the line and it's just taking forever and ever. And I'm like, and then the person can't get the thing off the DVD or whatever it was. And I'm like, I'm such a nice person. But I don't always have the most patience. And sometimes I could say something kind of catty. Sometimes people pick up on it, sometimes they don't. And I was really thinking, like, come on. Like, this should have taken me 3 seconds. And I was like, Heather, it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to talk myself down. Like, it doesn't matter. You're fine. It's not a big deal. You're tired. It's late, whatever. You'll be done in a minute. And so they get up there and the lady was like, can I help you? And she was just so just gingerly doing things. And did you find everything? I said, I did. She said, do you need anything? I said, I do not. I do not. But thank you. And then she rings me up and then she goes, by the way, you're proper fangirl on TikTok, right? And I was like, oh, like that shit. I could have just been rude to somebody who, I mean, I don't want to be rude to people in general. That's not the point. The point is that you're never thinking that somebody's going to be like, oh yeah, I met you at fucking Target and you were a total fucking jackass.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. So has it changed at this point? Like you were saying the other day, you were in London. I don't know if you live in London.
No, I don't.
Yeah. So you were in London doing work. Like, does it feel different now that this is your full-time job? And we've got to get to talk about your book. But does it
Does it
feel
feel?
different?
I wouldn't say it feels different. I'd say I had more fun. I think I had more fun with it before I went full time, and I think it's purely the financial self-employment part of it,
Yeah.
especially when things you talk about suddenly go quiet. TikTok changes like how they monetize you, and that like they've changed it so much this year that everyone I know who's a content creator is like, we aren't making money like we used to make money anymore. So I feel like there's a lot of stresses in that way. But in terms of like success and personal fulfillment and stuff like that, it's immeasurable because in my head I've always thought I'm never gonna be someone who works for other people all the time. And I never could put my finger on it. And it's not like a psychic thing, but I've just always had this feeling of like, yeah, but this isn't what I'm going to do. But I've never done anything to make steps to change that. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I've been working in marketing, hating it, hating every second. But rather than, and in my head, I was like, well, I'm not doing anything to change it. But obviously I was, because I was content creating and I was making these videos, which kind of felt like it happened to me, a lot of it. And again, I'm not very good at acknowledging and accepting my own kind of success. So in my head, this has all kind of happened to me. It's something that I was doing for fun and it just turned into something else. I don't know why people watch my videos. And that's not me being humble. I'm like, don't get it. Like, I don't understand. People are like, how did you build this following? I was like, I don't know. And I think part of it is obviously authenticity and consistency, and
And you have
um
good ideas. I mean, it's like, I yeah, you have good ideas. You have a background and understanding of marketing. Number 1. Number 2, you are really fucking funny. Number 3,
thanks.
you have good ideas and you implement them. Number 4, you're fucking consistent.
Yeah, I think with the good ideas thing, I think like every idea can be good. So sometimes I'll have a think of like, I'll be like, oh, I'm going to just do a video talking about, let's say that like a big example is the baby names video. I did loads of videos about baby names, and the whole shtick is that it's all these different fandom names. So you start off with Taylor, and then Alison because that's her middle name, and then Andrea because that's her mum's name, and then you end up with song titles, and then you end up with just ridiculous shit. Like my favorite one is the Grey's Anatomy one, and the punchline was Pashwan of Epi because it's Push One of Epi, which is obviously like that was my, and like when I saw it, I was like, I know that's going to be big. It can't not be. Um, so, but that idea in my head initially was me talking about it and me just sitting there and being like, here are some Taylor Swift related baby names. And I was like, oh, that's shit. No one's going to watch that. And then I was like, how about if I do it like a teacher, where like a teacher's reading a register? And I was like, that doesn't really make sense. You kind of lose a little bit of the immediacy of, because I think a video you have to look at a video and be like, I know what I'm watching, or it's so out there that you're like, I need to know what I'm watching.
Right.
So when as soon as I was like, but what if it's just like choosing baby names as like two parents, for example? And I was like, well, that's because straight away you know what's happening. You know the relationship, you know the dynamics, you know the expectations of this interaction.
Right.
And then the absurd bit is that all these names are going to be related to Taylor Swift or Harry Styles or Louis Tomlinson or One Direction or anything. And that series like did incredibly well. And that's the thing with ideas, like there's no bad idea, it's the execution of it. And that's the baby names thing. I wish I could come up with another one. I've spent so much time being like, what is as funny as the baby names? And I did ones where I was like, oh god, yeah. Some people might meet Harry Styles. I might be like really like, oh my god, you're Harry Styles. I wouldn't. I would treat him like a friend, and I would be like, and then I'd said some really niche things. Like, so for the Taylor Swift one, it was about, oh, I've got loads of cats. I'm just going to go and buy some wine because like it's what she's into. Do you know what I mean? And I can't remember what I said for Harry now, but those kind of things I think are my favorite videos to make because the idea starts off as just nothing, but as soon as you find the funniest way to present those ideas and the jokes, that's when you've got a real kind of hit video, if you like. But it's but yeah, it's funny as well because I used to obviously work full time and have kid and look after my kids. So I'm not even joking. Like I would have a 5 minute period and I would write, not even a script, I'd write the baby names. I'd sit there, film the video, put the captions on the video and post it. And it would take me 5 minutes and it would get, one of them got 7 million views. And I was like, that took me 5 minutes. And now I'm like sitting here for hours and I'm like, I can't think of a single idea.
Well, I've thought about you a lot this year because when you made that announcement, 'cause I mean, really, I've seen absolutely everything you've done, but everything that you mentioned today, I'm like, yep, I remember watching that and that and that. I've been watching your content. I've been consuming. Um, but one of the things that I thought of, I was like, gosh, because I think about it, I would like to be a full-time podcaster. That's what I would like to do. I don't want to necessarily make funny content. I just want the personality of me is in the podcast, whatever podcast that I'm doing, however I can make that work. Um, that's what I want to do. And I don't know how to translate that sometimes into videos. But when I watched you and I thought, let me just see, not the rise or the fall. I hate when people say stuff like that, but I was like, I just want to see how he manages it because I know that the stress level is going to go up. Can
Mhm.
you find a way to balance between, yes, I am a husband and a father, and this is no fucking joke, and this is my livelihood, and shit's going to change, and you manage it. And then you said the thing about getting your literary agent. and the book. And I was like, I remember him saying the goal was the book anyway.
Yeah.
To be an author was a thing that you really, really like. That's what you really, really want to be. And I was like, he's there. Like he gets it. He knows where he's supposed to be headed. And so whether or not you continue to make fun content, which I hope you do, I'm so excited for you about the book, because if that was the original idea. So tell me what the plan was for the book and how that kind of happened, why you wanted to be an author. Just kind of give me this little backstory for your authorness.
Yeah, so I always wanted to be an author. I'm trying to think of the chronology of it. So when I was a kid, I used to make books. So I'd have an A4 bit of paper, and there's a way that you can cut it, that you fold it together and it turns into like a small book. And I used to write these all the time. So one of my favorite primary school teachers was called Mrs. Pittaway, and she used to take these books and she used to take all of them and ask me for more, and she used to love it. And she was probably my first big encouragement into that. And she still has those books. My mum has seen her recently. She still has them all. And then I always had this thing in the back of my mind one day. And then when I was on my year abroad, as we've talked about having the worst time, I decided to try and write. And I still have them all over my house now, because I got them out recently and now they're all over. I'm not very organized. Just notepads and notes and everything about this fantasy series. And I wrote the first book when I was 21, and I self-published it. And I self-published it, got the book, read the book, and thought, this is crap. I don't know what I've done. Why have I done this? And I left it up for a bit. I told my close family about it. I put it up for free so they didn't have to pay for it. And then I deleted it.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. When I say I've got imposter syndrome, I'm not joking. It's literally held me back.
In therapy and start walking. You're gonna get over this, and give you just enough ego not to be a dick.
Yeah, that's it.
We're just getting you at your best, because damn, come on.
I know. I just need a little bit of ego, but
a little bit.
But I then spent. But I then spent 10 years trying to rewrite these books. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I came back to it a lot when we had our first child. I probably, it was probably the longest that I didn't write. It was probably about 3 or 4 years where I was like, not going to happen. Came back to it, started writing it again and again. I have restarted this book a million times. I've changed so many different things. And then I worked it out. So like towards the end of 2023, I was like, I need to write something else. I just need to write something else and just try and whatever. So I wrote a really quick page of notes about a potential story. And then I started writing it in the January 2024. And you're going to realize that I'm the most annoying person in the world now. So I wrote this book for about 4 months. And then I was like, this is shit. So I stopped. I was like, no, it's terrible. And then I started trying to do the fantasy book again. And then obviously at the beginning of this year, I quit my job and I was like, I just need the views to be consistent enough that I make enough money so I have time to write. But that didn't happen. So then I was like writing out of frustration of like, oh my God, I need something else. I need to write this book. And then one night I was at a friend's house just having like an absolute mind like, oh my God, everything's going badly. I'm not getting enough money. I'm not making enough on social media. I said I was going to write a book and I still haven't done it. And I got into my bed that night and went on Google Drive and read the thing that I had written before the thing. And I was like, oh, this is actually quite good. I was like, this is quite good. And so I finished that in the next 3 days. and that was it. And then I had it and I was like, oh my God, I've actually, for the first time, not even exaggerating, including videos, including whatever, I was like, for the first time, I've got something here that I would actually be proud of putting out into the world. And then that was it. And then I got an agent really quickly. My agent is 2 things that I said I wanted, which is a woman and a Swiftie. And she got it straight away. And now I'm in kind of the this it's the editing, but it's kind of like big editing. So it's like, this plot line could be developed more. This emotional low isn't hitting quite as much as it could do. This character could be more exciting, more interesting, add something. So it's that kind of editing at the
Oh,
moment, which
okay.
is the
How does
fun
that
bit.
feel when you're getting these notes back?
It
Are
was
you
No, it's amazing because obviously we had the conversation before, and she was really complimentary about my writing and about everything, and I was like, I still don't really believe it, but I said to her on the call, I was like, I'm not reacting to you because I just need time to like accept it. I was like, so forgive my really boring reaction, but I was like, but I don't, all the words you're saying, I just don't believe them, so give me time. Um, and then and then the notes came through, and obviously it's really easy to like twist everything into a negative. And I knew they
right?
weren't I knew there was no negativity there. I knew it wasn't. So I was
Right.
like, I need to read them and leave them, read them
Right.
again, and then just pick out what I can do with them. So, do you know what I mean? So it's like really forcing myself to be like, only look at the positive, which I did. So now I'm in a good place and I'm like, right, I'm ready. I'm ready to do it. So I'm hoping that I can get that done really soon. And then next year, hopefully we'll be putting it out for submission, and then we see what happens there. But crazy.
So fucking exciting. I mean, part of the reason that I want to talk to you, like I said, was the fandom thing. But I think that art is not just music, but it's writing and it's drawing. It's all the things, and maybe Master Muse will end up being me talking to every kind of artist everywhere because I think that it is such an important thing for us to have as humans to keep us sane or let our crazy out, however you like to look at it. I think it's such an important thing. And without people doing that, like I've recently started reading again because TikTok has been hurting my feelings. And or maybe it's the world. I don't know. Maybe it's not TikTok specifically, but I really got to the point where like all of September I didn't put anything out. Um, I was like, I'm about to implode. I cannot, I get in cars, I Uber again and I get in cars with people and just it's devastating conversation. Um I got into a
Yeah.
conversation with some guy who was like, I'm doom scrolling about Russian nukes. What if nukes come over? I go, then we'll die.
Yeah.
Then we'll die. And I don't mean that to sound trite. I value my life and I want to live, but like I don't know if it's doing me any good to wring my hands. So yeah, pop culture is something that's if we can keep it light, it's like we do me and my roommate do a podcast called The B-side where we talk about what's just happening. So I said in the music industry and they're like industry stuff. And I was like, no, 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 not that. Not what's happening with Warner Music. Like, no, no, no.
No.
Not that's not fun. Like the pop culture with musicians, you see, like just musicians. I'm not talking about actors. I'm not talking about whatever. And they're like, oh, okay. I was like, yeah, no, just like the people we want to talk about. Whoever shows up on my feed because I already follow them. Um, but that doing that has allowed us to just talk about it the way that I wish that I could hear it, which is not talking about people like they're dumb, stupid, or not human beings. Like we
Yeah.
have a category called the watch list, and the watch list is for, people that were watching lovingly from a distance. Like, are you okay, buddy? Like when Justin Bieber was like, hey, buddy, how's it going? I know you're standing on business over there, but is everything all right? Like, you talking to your people? Like, is everything? He's like, I'm fine. I'm making an album. I mean, 2 albums. I'm like, oh shit. Okay, I guess you're all right. I mean, I guess. So, anyway, I really am excited for you for this next chapter, literally. No,
Hey.
no pun intended. I'm so appreciative of your time. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this crazy
No,
thing for the
thank you for
little
having me. It's been fun.
baby. I talked too much, but don't worry, I'll cut it all out. It'll look like you talked the whole time.
No, don't do that.
But I really do. I really appreciate it. And I hope that because I'm going to be a mom now, I do hope that you work on the ego because I know that people think that I hand it out. If you go back and you listen to all of my interviews, I don't hand out the same thing in every interview. I love them equally and I'm super grateful for them to put music out, but there are certain people that I feel that have something really special, tangible, something that you can touch, feel, and experience. And I feel like you have it. You just
Oh,
do.
thank you.
You're
That's so
fucking
sweet.
funny. Maybe you're going to be a writer on a show. Maybe you're going to write a show. Maybe you're just going to be an author. I feel like you need to open the door really fucking wide and you're going to have to build up the fucking ego. That's going to
I know
happen.
I am my own worst critic and enemy, but that's really sweet though. Thank you for saying that.
But I'm serious. I really do believe that you need funny people so that we can laugh and enjoy. The last thing that I want to say is I hope that as you move forward in what you're doing, that you find all the right people and that you continue to have the great ideas and that you recognize them as such, and that the people around you continue to encourage you to bring on a little more ego, and then that your book is, even though it's your very first one, that you feel really, really good about it when you put it out there, and that you were able to make the edits and do the things that it feels good to you, that you feel solid and grounded even on the days where you go, this is not working, just quit for the day, start again tomorrow. It's a new day tomorrow. I feel like every creative person out there is like, it doesn't work. And then the next day, you're like, I think I was hungry.
Honestly, this whole week I've been so exhausted, and I woke up today and I was like, oh, actually, I think I'm all right. I can do this.
Yes. We just have to keep doing it. Anyway, thank you so much for being a part. It really means a lot to me. And I will continue to be watching your amazing journey. You're just fucking awesome, Dan. Thanks so much.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.